what is one boot without the other boot? It's nothing. It's a useless thing. And in so many ways, that's the story that I think is maybe the most important one for me, or the story at the core of that book, and the reason that I decided to go onto the PCT, into the wilderness. And that is, I'd reached a place in my life where I felt useless and alone, and like something that really had no purpose. My mom had died very suddenly when she was 45 of cancer. I was a senior in college at the time. She got what she thought was a bad cold, and 7 weeks later she was dead. And I'm 44 now, so she was just a year older than I am now. And it was one of those things in my life, and those of you who've lost someone essential I know you'll know what I mean when I say that essentially the day my mom died, the world as I knew it ended. There was the world with my mother in it, and then there was the world without my mother in it. And I didn't ever imagine that world. I never expected to be at that age having to imagine it. I didn't have I had a father, but not a good father, and he hadn't been in my life since I was about 6. When he was in my life, he was a tyrannical, abusive person. And so, when my mom died, my mother loved me and my siblings the way that you just hope a mother will, with absolute abandon. Even though we had very many challenging circumstances, the fact that my father was so abusive was just one of them. But because she had loved us so well, in so many ways, she made it okay that my father was absent. Like, that was the way I had accepted this enormous father loss. But once my mom died, the whole thing was just opened again. The fact that I didn't have a father and I didn't have a mother. And I had a wonderful stepfather for the years of my adolescence. But once my mom died, he couldn't go on being that stepfather to me. And on top of it, at this moment, I was 22. I was, even when things are going really well at that age, you're trying to figure out, who are you? What will the path be? And so right at that moment in my life, everything was undone. Life as I knew it ended. Like I said, I was a senior in college at the time. My mom was also a senior in college. I grew up in Minnesota. I lived on 40 acres of land in rural Aiken County, Minnesota, which is about an hour and a half west of Duluth, if you can imagine where that is, about 3 hours north of the Twin Cities. And I had grown up in those teen years without electricity or running water or indoor plumbing. And so I grew up in a really rustic way, and had always been poor as a kid. But I was also one of those kids who, from the moment I could read and write, I knew that that's what I was going to be. I was going to be a writer before I knew that people like me could be writers.